Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming out today. This is awesome. Big props to Creative Mornings. This is so cool to see a room like this. Tess, Carl, these guys bust it to fill this room, so it's definitely fun to be a speaker here. And just the momentum, just the creativity in this room. I know Creative Mornings is the name, so it's cliche to say the creativity in this room is through the roof, but it's awesome. I mean, definitely you guys all look cool, at least, and that's part of being creative, I think. Today, I really, when I got asked to speak, I was like, I got some big shoes to fill with the past speakers, so I thought, I really want to knock it out of the park, and I want to do something more creative than the most creative person that's ever spoke at Creative Mornings. So I thought, I'm going to do something on this app that I use called Notability, which by the end of this, you guys might just say, like, this is the coolest app, and you might use it in your actual customer meetings from now on. It's really cool because I can actually, like, write with my fingers. Like, I titled this, Where Are the Customers? And here's this guy. So we could just go, like, here we can draw, like, a little thing around it. What's he thinking? It's really cool. So all my notes are on there because I feel like I think better on a piece of paper than PowerPoint. So that's how we're going to talk today. Again, my name is Bill Svoboda. I started a t-shirt company out of my dorm room, coedmonkey.com. We really specialize right now in the higher end garments. When I started out of my dorm room, it was Gildan's. Everybody, how many of you order t-shirts in here? Probably everybody. And how many of you gotten a free t-shirt in here? Everybody. Now, how many of you hate those t-shirts that feel like cardboard when you put them on? If your hand's not up, it should be up. Well, my story, we'll cover this a little in a little bit. I don't want this to be about my story today, but just to give you the background on it, the t-shirt company is really my experience with this, and it's fun because I view it kind of like my little sandbox that I can play in, experiment with, and everything that way. Now, this is what a typical failure speech might look like. This is a stick man that I drew here, and we're at Creative Mornings, so there's some really cool glasses in this room. The girl at the front desk had those cool red glasses on. I just had LASIK, so this is not me. But this is what a typical speaker might talk about with failure. He might say something like, let me tell you about the time I nearly lost it all. Please take notes to avoid everything I did wrong. And he does have the coffee here to prove that he is really working hard. Because we know that this is not a punch the clock kind of job. You're working late at night. Creativity comes at any moment. So obviously he has the coffee. And the last thing he says is, related to failure. And unless you fail enough, you'll never get a chance to succeed. Which I really think like this kind of idea in our heads of you got to fail, fail, fail to hit on the big thing is totally wrong. There's some application of that, but a lot of speakers and a lot of things I hear on this topic, they always say, just try, and eventually you'll win. And I just don't want that to be the mark of this speech today. So here's what I won't be talking about. I'm not going to be talking about work hard, because I think you guys already work enough. Granted, we talked about this coffee cup already. You guys are working hard. Like, you guys are putting in the hours. I don't think I need to say work harder to this group because you guys are working hard. Second thing we're not going to talk about is just work smarter, because smarter is relative to who we're talking about here. Sometimes smarter to somebody is not as smart to the next person. Whatever, I just don't want smarter because it's always this thing, don't work harder, work smarter. But that's a cliche business phrase that we're not going to talk about today. Next thing is this thing of have passion, follow your passion. I think that's a cool phrase that you hear a lot in business, but the thing is, how many passionate people create junk that doesn't do anything? And you look at them and you're like, wow, you nailed that down. That did not go anywhere. So it's funny because like this whole idea of passion, great, we want you to be passionate about your stuff, but your passion is not good if nobody wants your passion. So, and I think with the internet now, it's really done a great job of weeding that out because, for instance, you post something on Facebook, as a business, within 1 hour, Facebook actually looks at it and rates it. Should we be boosting this to your 3% of your likes? So Facebook goes, just because you're passionate about posting doesn't mean we're passionate about releasing it to everybody that likes you. So take that if you're in charge of your Facebook account too. Next thing is this 1 out of 100 success grenade, which I just call it that, but this is the one-hit wonder thing where we look at something like Gangnam Style or the ALS challenge. We're not going to talk today about creating that next viral hit because honestly, if you create that, you should be up here speaking and just talking about that one time you created that one thing that everybody in the world talked about. Because you're never going to talk about anything else. So we are definitely not going to talk about this success grenade. I say grenade because you just launch it. Oh, wow, we nailed it. We nailed it. And then you walk away. You killed everything. The next thing we're not going to be talking about today is just creating something better, bigger, smaller, faster. I didn't put slower in there because nobody wants anything slower. But we're not going to be talking about creating something better, bigger, smaller, faster, not slower because nobody wants slower. We're not going to be talking about that because I really think the issue of creativity doesn't always just mean creating the next thing that's an add-on to something else. And I think a lot of speakers will talk about that, like just take this and let's evolve it, which is good, but that's not going to be the emphasis of our talk today. So I thought, we're starting here, kind of a business talk. I'm a business owner, so we got to start with the Dilbert. Dilbert's awesome. More passion, really? That's my question. Here's Dilbert. He's awesome because there's always some truth in a Dilbert that you can relate with your life. You're just like, wow, that was awesome. So here's Dilbert. I'm double mugging because I heard that passion is necessary for success. Well, you guys can see, I am double mugging, but one of them's water, one's coffee, okay? Because you gotta balance it. I'm double mugging because I heard passion is necessary for success. By passion, I'll be so passionate, I'll be dating my chair by 4. Then his boss goes, nothing about that sounded right, nothing about that sounded right. We're not going to be talking about this idea of passion behind creativity, behind failure, because I really do think that passion oftentimes can just drill you, it can keep you in a rut that keeps you doing something you shouldn't be doing. So we're not going to be talking about passion days. So I just wanted to start here by just defining failure, because I really think that this is a big thing. As we're talking, every speaker, every person you talk to has a different idea in their head of what they're going to be talking about whenever they're talking about anything. So for our definition today, failure is just not meeting your expectations, but what if you've set your expectations in the wrong spot initially? That's really going to be the topic of our conversation today. What if we've set our expectations in the wrong place so that when we do whatever we're setting out to do, we actually fail because we're aiming somewhere that's unachievable? So this is what it really looks like on a business side. And I think I've talked to a good amount of the people in this room before we even started today. And just out of this room, how many business owners do we have here today? Classify yourself as a business owner, even if it's just you, a freelancer. Let's just put it up. Now, how many just creatives or employees working for somebody else? So it's split about 50-50 here, which is a really good thing. But here's what we're looking at, and I'm coming from this from a business owner standpoint. Often what we do when we're coming out with something is we create something back here. Here we are. We're creating something amazing. We're going, this is the best thing in the world. Now this thing in the hands doesn't necessarily have to be a box. It can be the next great Photoshop thing. It can be the next great campaign. It can be the next great YouTube series. Whatever it is you're creating, I met somebody here today who makes monsters. Makes ceramic or whatever monster sculptures. Really cool. So whatever these next big things are, that's what we're talking about creating today. But often what we're doing is we're actually up here and we're focusing on these people. We're going, I hope they like it, because what we do is we see this money over here. We go, that's where the money is, the mainstream market. If you guys have seen this before, this is typically an S-curve product life cycle. We always see this in business school. But what I really want to focus on today is this idea, just like we said, what if we've set our expectations in the wrong spot initially? And I want to focus on initially there at the end, because really what we should be looking at is something far more like this. Isn't that cool, like how that just pops up? Just notability. Notability will sell itself. What we need to focus on here is not that mainstream customer right away, not that mainstream person that you hope to get in front of, but our focus right here should be just right here, the early adopting market. Somebody who actually cares about whatever it is that you're passionate about creating. The faster we can find that person, the faster you gain traction. But so much of our time, I feel like, especially what we're taught in business school, because business school is great for teaching you how to reach a known existing market with a product that they're already familiar with, or with a problem that they already know. So in this whole creative space, we're trying to always put something new in front of them. So in that area, we're always looking for an early adopting market. And if we look at this product life cycle, there's a big gap here. I want to emphasize this gap. I'm going to actually put it in red. This gap here is where most startups or new ideas, anything fails at or before that point. We're going to talk about it a little later, but at this point, this is the most critical point. This whole area back here is finding a customer early for whatever it is that you want to have, whatever you think is worth your time creating. So our conversation today is going to be focused on this person here, not these people, because honestly, they don't care. Look at their faces. They're like, Because how many of you know when something new comes out, you might be a little leery unless you are an innovative person. You're like, I want to be first there, the first person in the line for the iPhone, the new iPhone, I'm there. This person back here, he's all happy. Look at him. He's like, oh, yeah, I love it. These people up here are like, we'll wait and see. We'll wait. Let's see if this thing really pans out. So most of us, or I shouldn't say most of us in this room, but most people, when they're looking at creating something, three-part here. First thing is, we just have this idea of dreaming about the mainstream customer, or what we'll do is we'll dream about that mainstream business that has that mainstream customer and go, if only I could create something like they're creating, or if only I could reach that customer type. So what do? We put so much of our time, energy, everything into creating something for this customer type that's so big, and we don't even know them, we don't even understand them. Where often on the creative side, what happens then is we launch it, and it goes right here into this huge thing. We just launch it and then it fails. Just fails. And you know, in a typical speech you might say, well, you got to put out enough stuff. You got to put out enough stuff to see what sticks. But what I really have seen is this, that most of the time when you fail like that, you end up going, but where are the customers? Like, why doesn't anybody care about what I'm doing? Why doesn't anybody care about this? Because we're constantly creating and it's a one-way conversation instead of a two-way feedback loop. So what we're really trying to talk about today is this idea of creating and then listening, gathering the feedback, and learning from it to make something better. And this is the real big epiphany moment, I think, that more new businesses, products, services fail from a lack of customers than from not having a good enough or best business, product, or service. Because we can all know that you can make the best thing, but if customers don't grab it, it doesn't matter. So that's really this big epiphany moment, and the problem is not building or creating the best products, rather finding the customers. So our emphasis today is really going to be talking about finding those customers, and primarily we're calling them this, the early adopting customers. This is our whole goal right here. If we can find people that care about us, those are actually the people that the people on top watch. If you think about if you get written in TechCrunch or any big magazine, any big blog, just by being written there by the most innovators, everybody sees it. Our whole goal is to look for the most innovators that actually talk to everybody else, that everybody in the mainstream market watches. The big thing about these innovators really is that they're willing to take a chance on something or someone that's new. I have a buddy, he does paintings. And the beautiful thing about his painting business is he does paintings and they look amazing, but they're unlike anybody else's paintings. So he does this thing on the side out of his passion, but he goes to these art shows. And at these art shows, people look, they go up and down the aisles. You know, if you're in the Northeast community, you go to these art shows and people walk up and down the aisles, and what do they see? The same kind of stuff. Well, not Gabe. Gabe's art is stinking incredible. It's so different than everybody else's art. So what happens then is somebody goes, that's exactly what I want. I'll pay you an outrageous amount of money because I want that. And that's the first type of customer you want. Somebody who goes, dude, this is so brilliant. This is amazing. This is unreal. I'll pay you a ton of money. And then that person is somebody who's already innovative that goes, everybody I know should see this too. And they're going to be their biggest fans. I love this idea of creating something for somebody that's willing to take a chance on somebody new. Find that customer. We always talk in the startup world about this freemium idea of like release it and go free off the bat. Well, that's good, but if you can find a customer day one who's willing to take a chance and pay you to develop whatever it is that you're developing, holy cow, Be behind that customer because they're going to pay you. They're going to tell everybody about you because they helped you do it. They're also looking for an alternative to the existing options in the market. For my real estate software, what we actually did was I just posted in my Facebook, in the next 20 days, I want to meet with 20 real estate agents, buy them a cup of coffee, and get their feedback on an idea. You wouldn't believe how many people replied to that message right there. Over the next 3 months, I had 20 coffee dates. I had to turn a bunch down because, as my namesake says, I missed a layup. That was my failure. I broke my arm. So, over the next 3 months, arm recouping, I met up with all these real estate agents, found out what they wanted, heard what they wanted, didn't build a single line of code, but they were all looking for something different than the market had. So what we did was, me and my 2 business partners came in and said, we'll create that for you. We'll create it for you. If only I didn't break my arm, I could have probably done 2 or 3 times those coffee meetings. Thankful to my friends who dropped me off at those coffee shops. The other thing about this type of customer here is they're okay with not perfect. They're okay with something that's not all there, because they're willing to take that chance. How many of you remember the first iPhone? What was the big diss against it? No copy paste. But the iPhone fanatics could care less. Actually, they defended that it didn't have copy paste. They were like, no, but look at this, the screen, look at it. They're okay with not perfect, but often us as founders or creatives, we want it to be perfect before we release. Seth Godin always just says, just ship it, just ship it, just ship it, because people care. So small is really the future big. That's what I like saying here, because if we're looking here, this whole first part is all about test, learn, search, test, learn, search, test, learn, search. If we talk about startups, what we're actually looking at is back here, the typical thing that you always hear is a 90% failure rate. 90% is always this typical failure rate in the startup world. Like 90% of startups fail within the first 2 years, often because they created something with all their resources and then go to their marketing and go, okay, now market this, and then they find out nobody wanted whatever the junk we created. So this whole idea of test, learn, search, and also finding this person who says, I want it, is the biggest thing here. Then we go over here and we go execute and scale. This whole second part is the mainstream market. When you think about it, it's easy once you learned back here what you should build to scale here with that knowledge and with that customer type. Because we always talk in business about, tell me about your customer, tell me about your customer. But often back here, we have no idea. We just know that we think this type of person will want what we want to make. So our whole idea behind this whole context is back here, test, learn, search, minimum viable product. We always talk about that in the startup world too, about a minimum viable product. But literally, with our real estate software, our minimum viable product, what got us in front of North Star MLS with 13,000 agents was a PowerPoint. And they looked at it and goes, this is brilliant. And they said, come back in a month once you build a website. So you know what we did? We took that PowerPoint, made it into a JPEG, put that JPEG as a clickable website, but here's the deal, because I can tell you guys are creative and you guys have probably done this. We took that JPEG and we were the ones that were going to control that demo that day, so we didn't even make the buttons into live buttons. It was the entire screen was a button, so anytime you clicked anywhere, it would take you to the next page. So we had to remember, because we go, why in the world would we invest thousands of dollars creating a prototype for a customer that might not even go with us? So we just took these JPEGs, put them as a web browser, and anywhere you clicked, we just had to remember that we got to click on this big red button right there to go to the next page, because if we click on the yellow button up there, oh, it's going to be fishy. So what we're really trying to do is learn back here for as little as we can, and we call that an MVP, minimum viable product. And in the startup world, in your world, it's just coming out with the first draft. It's coming out with, here's your ideas, here's just my quick drawings. And that's what's great about this app Notability too, because you can literally, I've done this with our t-shirt customers, draw a t-shirt. Check this out, how easy this is. Like, watch this. I'll go to a blank spot somewhere. Let's just zoom in here. I can literally go like this. Oh, I gotta make that. Go right here. I can literally like doodle a t-shirt and go, oh, you want it to say like nerdery right here? Oh, cool. You actually want it to be a little smaller, left chest? Oh, right, just like that? Oh, cool. Yeah, all of our art guys make that up for you quick. That's what we're talking about at MVP. How easy is that if you're sitting in front of a customer? Because a lot of creatives here, you always go, oh, my customers are just eating up all my time. They don't like my drafts. They don't like this and that. But we're spending so much time creating stuff as a finished product and then give it to them and go, oh, they don't like it. Why don't they like it? So and this is really just preaching to the choir in a way, because I think you guys do this, but This whole idea that we're trying to convey is, let's learn, let's test, let's search before we put everything into our finished campaign. Finding a small group of people that do care and stop comparing yourself. Really, stop comparing yourself to the big guys in the market. As the t-shirt company, I could compare myself every day with CustomInk.com, who has amazing ads on TV, who has amazing radio spots, who does all this stuff. But they're a $30 million company that started out of Harvard by three guys, a doctor, a lawyer, and let's just say another guy with money. And bottom line, they beat me to the market. They have a lot more in it than I do, and I shouldn't compare myself with them. They have a ton easier designing lab on their website, which is great for a customer that's ordering 12 shirts. It's awesome for a customer that doesn't have any design. You guys in the room would hate that because you have to use their clip art most of the time. But that's great for a person who's ordering 12 shirts for their softball team. It's horrible, horrible, horrible for a creative who goes, I don't want that, and I want nicer ink, and I want a nicer shirt. So my customer orders about $650 average, and that ranging all. A custom ink average customer is about $250-ish. So we're talking about Apple. We're not even talking apples, we're talking different markets altogether. And I should never compare myself with that company reaching a mainstream customer right there yet. Eventually, my customers could reach mainstream, but I'm not going to focus on that. I'm not going to compare, because that literally right there helps me to get into a state of failure. Because failure is really this thing where you hash it out in your head over and over and over. It's really an emotional state more than anything, because when you experience some kickback in life, it's easy for us to resort to that state of mind of, man, I never win, and you just go back to those things. You go back. So let's find a small group of people that do care and stop comparing ourselves to everybody else, because we're never going to win. We honestly are never going to win if we're comparing. And as we know, in this whole game, it's not like this, start, finish. That's not what this whole game looks like, of creating something amazing. What we're really looking at is this idea of, if we start, hopefully like somewhere by going all around here, okay, another one there, hopefully somewhere we finish. It's not this linear thing. So any speaker that says, just do this, this is how you do it. No, it's a constant engagement with your customer of, let's test this, let's learn, and let's grow. Let's grow, let's grow. And that's really the beauty of this whole thing of business and being creative. It's that we're never releasing our final product. We're never releasing it. Just 2 weeks ago for my t-shirt company, Co-Ed Monkey, we released 59 YouTube videos similar to a Zappos-style product video where the person comes out and goes, hi, I'm Bill, I'm 5'9", and I'm wearing a size medium American Apparel 2001 t-shirt. Cut, and then they do a turn like this, really cool, and then we zoom in, and then they go, okay, first thing about this t-shirt is it fits great. You know, they do this whole thing. If you look at your business or your creative area as something that's never finished packaging, it's so amazing. There's so much life that comes because you constantly go, we're creating something for people who care. We're creating something for people who care, and the only way you find people who care is finding this back here. You're not going to find it by aiming up here. You find it by figuring out here and growing with them. So, how do we focus small? How do we focus small? Really, more startups, new products or services fail from a lack of customers than a lack of a good product service. We already said that. The big thing is, and there's 3 things I want to focus on here, and this is really the big takeaways. The first thing is, where are the customers? That's what WATC stands for, where are the customers? That's the first question I always ask. As we're launching a new marketing campaign, it's where are the customers? Because how many of you know you can launch a great YouTube campaign, but if your customers aren't on YouTube, it doesn't matter. Or on Google, it doesn't matter. If you're a salesperson-driven business, all the YouTube videos in the world won't help because your customer isn't online looking. So I really look at where are the customers, and this really breaks down into something I call ASL. How many of you guys were on AOL Instant Messenger back in the day? AOL. This really dates us, some of the young. AOL Instant Messenger, how many of you guys remember when you get this new buddy chat, like a pop-up would come up, and you'd go like, okay, I'll accept it. Remember that? It was always like this anticipation, like, somebody cares, somebody found me, you know? But the first question that people would say right off the bat if it was somebody you didn't know was ASL question mark. Remember that? ASL question mark. And I remember the first time that this happened to me, I was like, ASL question mark, what does that mean? And so I asked that, I was like, what does ASL mean? And I probably sounded so stupid. And the person goes, age, sex, location, that stupid. And I was like, So what we're really trying to do here right off the bat is go age, sex, location. Like who is our customer? Not just where are they, but let's create a personal profile of who our customer is. I'm sure the woman who creates monster sculptures has a pretty clear idea of the type of customer she has or wants. So we're trying to, number one, figure out who is our customer. That's the biggest thing. Next thing is, what do our customers want? That's huge. We all learned that back here. What do our customers want? What do they care about? And I really think be unique. We're going to talk in just a few minutes about an artist that I think is very unique, very segmented, and now reached mainstream and changed everything. So this idea of what do our customers want, WDTCW, it's an acronym, but without the periods. It's cool. This idea of what do the customers want, we really want to figure that out fast. You know what? We learned that out back here. With my t-shirt company, Coed Monkey, we specialize in a lot of high-end shirts, but we realize there's a whole other market out there that only wants high-end shirts, and they want a brand behind it that is high-end. So we're actually launching a competing brand to Coed Monkey online because we've learned how to do the Google search stuff so well. So we're actually launching that. So when somebody Googles for a specific shirt, they find Coed Monkey and they go, what's that Coed Monkey brand? Ooh, what's this brand? Click there and it charges 10% more, which is amazing because we learned what the customers want, which is so valuable here. And we're unique with that. And then repeat. It's all about win, win, win. Test, 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 learn. So here's my case study. We have 2 case studies I want to go over today. Case study in custom t-shirts. Here's a typical custom t-shirt search. Custom American Apparel 50, 25, 25. Before we do that, let me just show you guys kind of what we're looking at. This right here is a standard Gildan t-shirt. I call it a soft as sandpaper. That's a soft as sandpaper t-shirt. We'll throw that into the crowd right there. You can feel it. It's horrible. Well, the thing about it is, when I started this business in 2004, that was the only shirt out. That was the only thing that people could really order. So obviously, every screen printer was the same. They all offered the soft as sandpaper Gildan t-shirt, or the junky jerseys, or the flippin' fruit of the loom. I don't know. Come up with any acronym. They were all the same. So it didn't matter that you separated, that you actually niched. Well, then along comes this American Apparel t-shirt, the 2001, which is amazing. 100% ring spun cotton, slimmer fitting, not as baggy. Everybody loves that one, or they did. They did until American Apparel said, we're going to blow the t-shirt world away with this thing called a 50-50. Other brands did the 50-50, nobody did it slim fitting with the side seam, everything. Feel that one, that's like soft as butter. Next out, though, American Apparel ones up and goes, we're going to come out with another shirt. I don't know how we're going to do something better, but we're going to come out with a 50, 25, 25. 50 poly, 25 cotton, 25 rayon. This shirt is softer than butter. Feel that one. That is amazing. But then what happened was another brand comes out and goes, you know what, that's all great and dandy that American Apparel loves it, but we're alternative apparel, and we're going to make something that you actually want to wear. So they came out with this, the Burnout Tee, which is a 50-50 blend. The fabric, the seams, everything are smaller. The fibers are smaller. It's all finer. You actually want to wear this. And that shirt retails for $55 in the retail market. But here's the deal. Over the course of starting back here, we learned everything about our customers, what they want, what kind of inks they want. So it's easy for us with Coed Monkey to make this jump and go, okay, we can just systemize this. We can make more and more and more and more content about these shirts. But what we also realized was to really cater to this alternative apparel crowd, we really need to start a new one back here. So that's what we're doing with our next thing. But let me show you how we look at learning. So here's a typical search that we kill in. Custom American Apparel 50, 25, 25. Here are all the suckers who are paying $3 to $5 to $7 a click. Then here we are, number 1. Then American Apparel, then Custom Ink, our big competitor. But oh, look, here's our video, and if you do that search, you'll see 2 more videos right below it. And we all know rich snippets are huge in a web search because you're more likely to click a rich snippet. So we put our time into creating content about the stuff that we've learned customers actually care about. When we launched this site, Coed Monkey, the new site in 2012, our first customer, now granted I started in 04, we never had a Google search customer because I didn't care about optimization, but our first customer in February of 2012 with our new site was Google. They Googled and found us for the American Apparel 50-50 t-shirt. They specifically searched for us. So what I did was I go, how in the world did Google find us? Right after I thought to myself, is this spam? I found out that we ranked number 3 on Google for this new one with all the research that we did with our new site. So easily what we did was we looked here and we go, we're going to put a ton more content about the American Apparel 50/50. At one point, we owned like number 1 through 4 on a Google search, which probably hurt us because we were content heavy about that shirt, which Google doesn't like actually, if you're just overbearing, I guess. But now we're not as good on that search because Google knocks you for stuff like that. But needless to say, I've learned a lot in those last 2 years about SEO. But this is our typical thing. When we know what a customer wants, we're going to give them content. We're going to put videos out there. We're going to have amazing products. If you go to our website, check out that product page. There's like 3 or 4 videos on it, guy and a girl, so you can actually see it. They give their measurements. It's beautiful. But here's the deal. It always starts with availability. Then the next stage for a product development is always ease. How easy is this now? Because everybody eventually is offering the same product or same service. And then it always comes back to price. If you're in the price market where you're always competing against price, that's a very tough market to be in. You want to be in this market of availability. You want to be in the market of the best customer service. If you're always in the price market where people are price shopping you, that's not a good way to build the business that's going to be in the long run. You want people that are like, I don't care what your price is because you're the best. I was just talking to John with the Nerdery and we were talking about web stuff and they know that they're the best in the business. Like their websites cost a lot, but you know what? You also get a killer website. You get it all. You get the ease and you also, price, who cares about that? The people who are his customers love what they're paying for because they get the best product and it runs smooth and there's no issues. And that's really the big thing. If we're competing against price back here, okay, it's a dime a dozen. But if we can offer something new, offer something that's unique, now we're winning. Now some of you in here might be like, well that's great, but wait, I'm an artist, not a business owner. So what about me, what about me? Well, you know, I also consider myself kind of a music connoisseur. And so I thought, who in the world exemplifies this best? And actually, I thought of all the amazing musicians in the world, and I couldn't think of one that was the best example. So who I settled with was a guy named Lil Wayne. There's the card looking all like tough at you, like stop looking. Why I think Lil Wayne is so good, and I'm not a big Lil Wayne fan, but on a business side and on a branding side and on this whole like idea of launching and creating a market, I think Lil Wayne is one of the best in the business at this. So follow me here. Here we have the product life cycle with Lil Wayne. Now what's brilliant about this was back in the day, if you guys don't know Lil Wayne's story, he got signed at 12. Got signed at 12 to this company called Cash Money, a record label out of Louisiana. Okay, Cash Money was the big dogs in one city, in one area in Louisiana, just New Orleans. It didn't matter, they didn't care because there wasn't distribution in the 90s across the world with Napster yet, these disruptive innovations. So he gets signed way back here, and he got signed and he quit school because rap became his big thing. But here's the deal, his first album, he actually came out with one while before this. He joined this little rap group of guys called the Hot Boys. And the thing about the Hot Boys here, it's called Get It How You Live, which I don't even know if that makes sense. Lil Wayne comes out with stuff, and Lil Wayne's first albums and first audience, he could care less about LA, he could care less about New York City, he cared about this little neighborhood called Holly Grove, Louisiana. So everything was Holly Grove. It was, I need a hot girl, I need a girl in Holly Grove. It was for Holly Grove. They sold CDs out of their trunk. And here's the thing about Lil Wayne that's so brilliant. Lil Wayne, back here, this whole area back here, not many tattoos, hardly swore, which was so against what rap culture was at that time, because the thing was, he didn't want to swear because his mom didn't want him to swear. So, it's a brilliant thing when mom says don't swear. Will Smith had the same kind of thing, I think. But back here, Lil Wayne was not the Lil Wayne we know today. Lil Wayne was for Louisiana, by Louisiana kind of thing. And the thing is, Lil Wayne's raps appealed to people in Louisiana. So his first big here with the Hot Boys, with Juvenile and BG, it appealed to people in Louisiana. He comes out with his first album called The Block Is Hot, right after he was featured on a mainstream song. How many of you guys remember that song, Bling Bling? Bling bling, every time I come around the city, bling bling, pinky ring worth about 50, bling bling. You guys can sing along. The thing is, Lil Wayne reached mainstream market faster than a ton of artists because he rode the coattails of somebody else. Which, if you're taking notes, ride the coattails of somebody else. Find a mentor who can get you to the next spot. But Lil Wayne rode the coattails of somebody else on that song. That wasn't even his song. So when he comes out with his first album, The Block Is Hot, what happened goes amazing. People across the country love it. People across the country go, I love it, because Lil Wayne had this voice. It was kind of, I'm Wheezy. That was his name, Wheezy. So he had this higher voice. Everything about his rap style was different, but here's the thing about The Block Is Hot. As the name says, The Block Is Hot. It's related to drug sales. It's related to things that just little white suburban kids can't relate with. Maybe they want to relate with, but it related to that area that he grew up with. So when he comes out with his next album, 500 Degrees, off of that The Block Is Hot area, where it really appealed to this one demo, it's no doubt that that 500 Degrees album stopped being amazing. And people outside of that area go, we don't care. You're just talking about drug sales and things like that. Like, we can't relate. Whereas somebody like a 50 Cent's talking about in the club, talking about money, everything. Lil Wayne's still talking about drug sales. Until Lil Wayne reinvented himself back here with the Carter One. The Carter One, he took a whole little sabbatical from rap and goes, I'm gonna throw away everything I've been doing. And he literally lined himself up with the right producers, everything. And instead of talking about drug sales and everything, now he starts talking about what mainstream culture is actually talking about. Everybody back here that followed him, he learned from them and goes, okay, we'll keep rapping like that style. And they still were into him. But when he comes out here with stuff that's actually about what every other rapper's rapping about, like sex and money, not just drugs and violence, all of a sudden the mainstream market, and you can have radio play about the other stuff if it's edited, all of a sudden the mainstream market goes, oh, who's this Lil Wayne guy again? Because he appealed to a mainstream market, he changed. It was no longer about Holly Grove in Louisiana and drugs. It was about everything that the nation knows. But here's the next thing. Lil Wayne's next sell, the Carter 2 comes out, shatters record sales. This is about 2006, and records aren't even being sold anymore. Napster's killed it. Everything's killed it now. iTunes is the big thing. But record sales, physical records, are going through the roof with Lil Wayne. It's amazing. You can research this. But the next big thing, and this is one of the biggest points in music history, 2008, one of the biggest years, Lil Wayne comes out with the Carter 3, the most anticipated album ever, almost in rap, probably next to like a Dr. Dre album. But the thing about Lil Wayne, the Carter 3 was shot record sales. I mean, this thing went through the roof. Not since NSYNC in 2001 had, or 2000, whatever, had there been more records sold, which that's saying a lot. Because the record industry in 2008 in shambles because of now the downloads. Lil Wayne literally shattered record sales with the Carter 3. But here's how, and this goes back to our startup idea. How did he do it? He went from Holly Grove in Louisiana to nationwide, worldwide. Here's how he did it. Between the Carter 1, 2, and 3, he literally released more mixtapes than anybody in the industry. In 1 year alone, this is just a little sample of his mixtapes. I mean, and unless you're probably a Lil Wayne fan, I haven't listened to, I might have heard one song on all these albums. And that one song probably wasn't even, I didn't even like it really. But the thing was, his people ate it up. His people ate it up. And as he's going up here, and he's moving up this curve, the thing about Lil Wayne was, he went right back to startup mode back here. And what he did was, unlike a lot of creatives just putting out content, he looked at all of this stuff, and what he did in 1 year was release 300 songs in 365 days, even being featured on a country singer, okay? Because that country singer has fans, and those fans probably will buy a Lil Wayne album if they like Lil Wayne's sound. So, and he never changed his voice in this whole thing. But what happened was, as he did all of this stuff, all these albums, he has over like 20 to 30 mixtapes. Every song that was featured on these albums that DJs played over and over, if he had 12 songs on a mixtape, the 2 that got played over and over and over and over in Miami, LA, New York, everywhere, those were the 2 songs that ended up being inspiration for these albums. He threw away the 10 that people didn't grab, and he said, I'm only gonna focus on the 2 that people grab. I'm only going to focus on the type that people actually want. Because at the end of the day, he sold out to Holly Grove and Louisiana for the mainstream market. And how many people in the room remember bands? I can think of one band off the top of my head that you liked when they were small, back here. You loved them back here, and then they sold out. We always have this stigma, oh, they sold out. They're not making music for you anymore. They're making it for the radio. Well, that's the thing with Lil Wayne. When he learned what people actually want, all of a sudden he's only going to make that type of style. It's no longer about his art. And the reason why, and you guys, if you know anything about rap music, you might be like, well, tell me the rest of the story about Lil Wayne. The sad thing about Lil Wayne after this is it's a sharp decline. Lil Wayne stopped working and putting out content and listening. His next album, called I Am Not a Human Being, which for some reason was a rock album because he got into skateboarding and rock, failed miserably. His next album, The Carter 4, failed miserably compared to the Carter 1, 2, 3 because he stopped doing this. Stopped putting out content, listening, learning, testing. The whole idea behind this is let's test our content before we release everything. A mixtape is great because, again, it's a low fidelity, it's not perfect. So really, the final thoughts that I want to leave you guys with are this. We're not talking anymore, like I said, about the hard work harder. I mean, you do need to work hard, and you guys are already doing that. A person like Lil Wayne is already doing that when he was successful. He still is. Now he's actually launching new artists doing the same type of thing. But we're not going to be talking about work harder. We're not talking about working smarter, as you can see. We're not talking about just having more passion or following your passion, because literally passion can drill you into the hole. And we're not talking about this 1 out of 100 success grenade, because for every artist like a Lil Wayne, there's a ton of artists that literally come out with one song and flop the rest of them. There's no longevity. So we're not talking about a one-hit wonder. We're not talking about creating something bigger, better, faster, everything that way. Because the big point is more new businesses, products, and services fail from a lack of customers than not having a good enough product or service. So really, this is the big takeaway. Where are the customers? Instead, we're focusing on that. Find the customers early. In my story, we started in the dorms and quickly learned, wait, this whole Gildan thing isn't working as good as if we go with this American Apparel 2001. Let's put all of our horses behind the 2001 and the 50/50. We want to find our customers and what they want, and then you just repeat and scale, because these people up here, the very reluctant customers, are always watching them. Think of the iPhone. It took some people so long to get an iPhone because, I don't know, I love my BlackBerry, until they saw enough social proof back here. So we're always trying to release for these people who actually care. That's the big point. One last thought I have, and I always like thinking, if we're going to Creative Mornings, I might as well teach you something that you can actually maybe wow somebody with, because to give a 40-minute presentation, just wow them, whatever. I'm going to leave you with this. Here is a fat stick man. Draw that in a client meeting, and they will be blown away. Thank you for having me.